Senate Republicans voted down a measure that would ensure women have a right to contraception a month after a similar measure was struck down in Virginia.
Now it also comes 2 years after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Sarah Hammond joins us in the studio with the details. Sarah.
That's right. Virginia Democratic Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine say they are disappointed by the vote, with only 2 Republicans voting yes on the Right to Contraception Act. But they say legislators have another chance to protect reproductive rights. Senate Republicans argue the Right to Contraception Act was a political stunt, but Senate Democrats say it was about more than that, 2 years after the Supreme Court overturned the nationwide right to abortion.
Should have been the easiest vote any senator will cast this year, guaranteeing Americans have a right to contraception, whatever zip code they live in, whatever state they live in.
According to the Pew Research Center, the majority of voters in both parties support the broad availability of birth control and in vitro fertilization.
That women in America, women in Virginia, ought to have the freedom to decide how and when to start a family.
A similar measure, supported by Democratic Virginia delegate Sia Price, was vetoed by Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin last month.
We introduced this bill because everyone should have the full scope of available options for reproductive health care and family planning services.
Youngkin said he supports access to birth control, but did not want to, quote, trample on the religious freedoms of Virginians. Now Warner and Kaine are turning their attention to the Right to IVF Act, a bill that would establish a right for people to access IVF and make the process more affordable and accessible. It comes after Alabama Supreme Court ruled frozen embryos can be considered children under state law, but the state later created a law providing legal protections for clinics.
People deserve the ability to make their own reproductive health care decisions and their own decisions about when and how to start a family.
Many Republicans who voted against the Right to Contraception Act said they believe in access to contraception, but said the legislation was unnecessary. Sarah Hammond for 13 News Now.
And the first baby born via in vitro fertilization in the U.S. was right here in our backyard at Eastern Virginia Medical School in Norfolk.